Hello everyone, this is Charles1K92 here, also known as GM65, off on the PlayStation Store network. Right, so here we go again with more Kingdom Hearts, basically countdown videos. Last week we talked about Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, the week before that, and Kingdom Hearts 1 at the very beginning of our countdown. So, what is it that we're talking about today? Is we're talking about a game called Kingdom Hearts Recoded, or Kingdom Hearts Coded, as it was officially released as. Now, I'm just going to have to do what I usually do, which is to go on the Wikipedia and basically get up what I need to get up. So let's see, there it is, there's Coded. We're going to click on that. Okay, so Kingdom Hearts Coded. What was special about this game? Well, like its counterpart to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, it was actually released on the Game Boy, on the Game Boy consoles before PlayStation. Basically, Square Enix had a bit of a strange relationship. They would have a main title on the home console and a secondary spin-off title on a handheld console. So this was developed by Square Enix and another corporation known as Hand, which was part of the Nintendo DS phase of the time. Basically, the director was still the same, Tetsuya Nomura, and there's also another one called Hajime Tabata, I think is the name. Hopefully I haven't butchered it. Anyway, so, when is this game technically taking place? Well, this game is actually set straight after the events of Kingdom Hearts 2. And it follows the story of Jiminy Cricket, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck and Goofy in Disney Castle. A world that Sora went to in Kingdom Hearts 2 and we saw in Kingdom Hearts 1. In the game, we progress through the series of levels which are virtually representations of the worlds contained within the digitized version of Jiminy's Journal from the very first game. So that's what the plot is. Now, what comes down to it is why? Why are we having to relive through the very first events? We've done this before through Chain of Memories, when we were going back to these places as a memory to Sora. So why are we going back to these places again, but digitized? Well, there's a little thing here. See, in Jiminy's Journal, it's very special, it's very unique. How it holds a very strange property of holding actual proper memories, but it also has a very strange way of holding data. So, here's what happened. Jiminy was going through his journals. Now, he went through his first journal, he went through the second journal, but when he was going back, I think it was the first one, there was a part of the journal which was completely empty, except for the last message, which was "Thank Namine." That was the end of their first journal. But Jiminy discovered something else. Their hurting will be mended. As if, you know, there's some secrets in here. So, he then went back to Mickey, and Mickey commissioned Chip and Dale, who are basically the royal engineers of Disney Castle, to produce a machine that could take a look at Jiminy's journal, but via data. So they done this. And they realised that Jiminy's Journal doesn't just hold what it had from the first game, but it held everything else connecting to Chain of Memories. But there was a problem. The journal seemed to have been corrupted completely by these things called bugs. Now these bugs are just basically the heartless versions of the real world. Anyway, so in order for them to actually get things fixed, they have to do something very, well, not silly, but something very interesting. They said they need to somehow progress through the journals and clear each, let's say, journal with a character that can do it. And Mickey says, well, we already have this person. This person has been written into this journal, and it's none other than Sora. However, there will be a few changes made, which Mickey said. So Mickey was able to make communications with this digitized Sora and granted him the ability of the Keyblade straight away. So instead of what happened originally in the storyline where Sora was given the Keyblade after the destruction of his home, Sora was given his Keyblade instantly. Anyway, so Sora progresses through each world, or data world, And basically, Sora has to repair the world by obviously using the Keyblade that he has in his hands. Now, there is also something very strange that happens. Maleficent and Pete survive their experience during the second game, during Kingdom Hearts 2. What I mean by from survival, I mean this. In the very final stages of Sora and gang going against Xemnas and the Nobodies and the Heartless, because the Heartless weren't fighting on for Maleficent's behalf, they are fighting for the organisation. Now, Maleficent and Pete decided to give Sora and his friends time to defeat Xemnas by holding off the Heartless that were literally swarming in the castle. So that was, it wasn't challenging. You've got to keep in mind, Maleficent is no pushover, neither is Pete. So they challenged them and they've survived, but where they ended up being, they ended up in a place where they were kind of like stuck in realms of in-between. And they needed to do something about this data because they caught wind of it. And they ended up actually going into a place which was in between the realm of the real world and the data world. They were somewhere in the middle of this, but they weren't detected by Mickey or anybody else. Now, what Maleficent was trying to do, she looked at everything and she found this to be kind of somewhat familiar from what she was told. But she says, well, we need to find more about this, so we're going to interfere with this Sora and his adventure, which they generally do. Now, at some point when Sora goes into Agrabah, because well, when he's there, he encounters Pete and Maleficent. He battles them, but he doesn't win. And what Maleficent does is she takes his Keyblade and she shatters it because it's not really a real Kingdom Key, it's a fake. And Sora, or at least this data Sora, feels kind of like, great, now I can't do anything. But Mickey kind of gives some form of reassurance and tells him, you have the power to summon the Keyblade because you are Sora. You are, although you're a dated version of Sora, you are technically still him and you are able to summon a Keyblade. It happens. Everybody's a winner. At the same time, Mickey, Donald and Goofy were actually sucked into the data world without them realising, because a white flash happened and they thought they were still in their home world, but they're not. They're actually in a digitised version of the Disney Castle. Chip and Dale are in the real world, but Donald, Mickey and Goofy are in the data world because Data Sora barges in. But it isn't just them. He also encounters a hooded young boy who is none other than Riku. But it isn't really Riku, it's a Data Riku. But this Data Riku will share the same fate as the real Riku did during the first events of the game. He got corrupted and he became basically Ansem Riku during the events of like when Hollow Bastion happened. So anyway, Sora actually goes, goes and repairs Riku. He basically saves every individual world successfully. Done. So basically, in a chronological sense, this Data Sora redid everything the original Sora did, and the journals were slowly piecing together different messages, and it was slowly going back to how it had to go. And then come the events of Chain of Memories. Now, this Data Sora does go to Castle Oblivion, because for some reason Jiminy's journal also does something very unique. It doesn't just remember the events that happened to Sora, but it also seems to show events that has happened to Riku. Jiminy's journal is very special in this way. Anyway, so when Sora arrives in the Castle Oblivion, he doesn't face Marluxia. He actually faces a data projection of Roxas, a living memory of Roxas is trapped within the journal. And basically, this Roxas is challenging Sora, or at least the data version of Sora, the test of strength in a sense, to say, why does it have to be you? Why couldn't it have been me? I should be the one who has to do this. It's somewhat, again, jealousy, but at the same time, there's a load of pain that's going on with Roxas. But it isn't just him who's suffering, there's a load of other people that are suffering because of, well, what Xehanort has done. And it's somehow been left up to Sora to fix this problem. Anyway, Sora does eventually beat this data protection of Roxas, and he gets to meet up with a Data Naminé who is trapped within the journals. Now, she, along with Mickey, because Mickey appears also in this world, he's actually the real Mickey Mouse, he's not a Data, he's really Mickey. And he's assisting Sora his way through in Castle Oblivion. Now, what happens after this is Naminé then shows this Data version of Sora and Mickey, the people who are hurting. And it is these people who follows. It's Naminé herself, technically, but she's back with Kairi, so she's technically fine. You also have Axel. You also have Roxas, and you have another girl who is called Xion, who is also part of the organisation, but her story will be told in the next video. So, if we're not going to count Naminé, that's 3 people. We also have 3 other people. One who is called Terra, another one called Ventus, and finally Aqua. 3 wielders of the Keyblade, mind you, who challenged Xehanort during the events of Birth by Sleep, who again, we will talk about when it's their game to talk about. So you have 6 people who are hurting and have to be saved. Now, Sora, or at least his Data Sora, remembers a promise that the real Sora made. And he says this: "Thank you." Naminé, who's Data, says, "But it isn't really me that, has to be thanked." But he says, "I know, but I know that I have to say thank you to you for what you've done. So I'm telling you, as if it's from the real Sora, to thank you, but I'll make sure to tell the real one thank you as well." Anyway, so what happens is this. The journals get actually put back together, and it goes back to being whole again, but they realise something, that the Data Sora and all of his adventures will be as if it never happened. Technically. So Mickey says this: "Well, actually, we can still do everything, but I will be there to help him throughout his journey. That way, this Data Sora understands everything that's going on, and it can be something that we can use later on." Anyway, back to Maleficent and Pete, because this is very interesting. Maleficent is curious about this datascape, this data world that they went to, and she says it's something similar to what she discovered many years ago about a book that was able to predict, a book that was able to show everything that happened in the past, what it knows about the present, but also what will happen in the future. And this book in particular has the ability to not just predict things, but actually create things as well, like worlds. Now, Pete says this: "Well, that sounds a little bit far-fetched. It also sounds like fairy tales and silly stuff." But then Maleficent says, "But who's to say that a fairy tale isn't true?" And she says, "Perhaps maybe we should go after this datascape and see how we can gain access to this power." Pete says, "Well, be able to conquer more worlds, darkness, heartless, everything." And Maleficent says, "Exactly." So, it isn't word for word from what I've just said, except for the talks about datascape and everything else, but their whole thing is corrupting worlds, turning them to darkness, and basically ruining everything. That's their goal, to an extent. But they need to have this data first, or this book. But I don't think it's Jiminy's journal that they're after. They're after a certain book. And she says it as it's called the Tome of Prophecies, or the Tome of Prophecies, or the Book of Prophecies. Basically, it's a book that has virtually everything about Kingdom Hearts' history, to what's going on in the timeline right now, to what happened in the very past, to what happens even in the far future, and what worlds have existed, and what can exist, and what will never exist. If that makes sense. So basically the book is almost like a god to an extent. Still speaking. Okay. So, that, I believe, is technically everything about Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, because eventually what happens is Mickey does write Mickey does write a letter to Sora, which is the same letter that Sora receives at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. And he's basically telling Sora about people who are hurting and that they need to be healed, and that it's time for them to come back to see Mickey at Yen Sid's tower for some additional training and to take up a test of the ability of the Keyblade. But none of this will be further talked about until Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. So that's going to be after 358, Birth by Sleep, and I think it's Dream Drop Distance afterwards. I think, yeah, and then there's another game as well that comes in between that. So, yeah, this is actually a quite short video because there isn't that much really to go on about Kingdom Hearts Coded, because it's basically going back over the same thing, except with a few exceptions added in. Everything goes back to normal to an extent, so the data world. I think Jiminy's Journal will become more important during the events of Kingdom Hearts 3. Maybe, who knows. The data will certainly become more important because of what it holds inside. Again, speaking of data, Sora actually has a piece of Ansem's research kept within him somewhere, in his heart. But again, that won't be spoken about too much of until the events of Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. And when we get into Dream Drop Distance, there's going to be a hell of a lot of things which are going to be very complicated. But because we've been going through it the way that we have done, it should be making a little bit more sense. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this so far. I have, most certainly. I would highly recommend that you guys, give us a thumbs up if you can, even a thumbs down if you didn't like what I've done. But it just goes to prove that you've watched the video at least. Comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe and also to hit that bell notification icon that's next to the subscription button in order to watch more of these videos. Also, something else which I have to just at least mention is this. As we draw ever closer to the release of Kingdom Hearts 3, I would like everyone just to know one small little thing, and it's just this. I will be doing a little giveaway because I will have technically soon, if it does work out how it should, I should be able to give away a code for the Starlight Keyblade. Now, you might think, well, that must be very generous of you because you only have, because you must be playing it on just one of your tablet devices, which is true. I have got my iPad, which is what I'm recording off, and I will be technically receiving a code from this particular thing. But I did play again on my phone, and well, I went through the whole thing during the time when I was on holiday, and that was when this the games to play to get the codes was available, and I completed all the challenges on my phone, and I've done it also on my tablet. So I'm not holding out on this, but I'm hoping that I do have a code to give away. But as we draw ever closer, more on this will be told about. So I just wanted to tell you about it in this video because it's a short video and I have more time to explain about it. But I'm mainly going to be doing this code giveaway for only the PS4 people, or PS4, because I'm a PS4 owner and I want to give something to the community if I can on the console that I play on, because I don't want to necessarily convolute anything. But again, I don't want you guys to hold out on anything, like give your hopes up. I'm only just telling you to say that this is technically possible for me to do. If it's not possible, you will know about it on the day of the release of Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 3, or 3. So I'm doing it that way. So I'm keeping you guys up to date as best I can. And when it does happen, I will check to see if both my tablet and my phone either get the same code or if we get a different code. If I get one code, I will use that code for myself. If I get another code that's completely different, I'll give it away as not as a gift, but I'll have to think up on something for somebody who deserves the code. So it won't be anything silly, alright? I don't want you to think that. I don't want you to think it's going to be something silly, but it will be something which is in relation to Kingdom Hearts in general. Now, the only way how I guess I can do this is basically a questionnaire, in a sense. Don't worry, it won't be too complicated, or at least I don't think it will, at least. But I'll probably just try to maybe just go down 3 questions. If let's just say it boils down to, it doesn't matter how quick you answer, it's not based on that. It all comes down to the fact of me narrowing down the search, as it were. But if it isn't going to be a question, then perhaps maybe it might be something else. I'm just going to think, because again, I've always told you what my PSN ID is. It's GM65, which I think there's only one GM65 in the world, if I'm not mistaken, which is me. So yeah, I can only just suggest that maybe if you message me on my PSN ID, which I'll leave in the description box below actually, when I upload this video. And basically what I want you to do is, when I can think of the questions, I would like you guys to give me the answers via my PSN. Now, even if I'm not online, I would want you guys just to message me, if it's possible. I will change my settings on my PS4 to make sure that I will receive any messages from anybody, because I think I should be able to do that, get that anyway. So no friend requests, just send us the answers as they are. So 3 questions, 3 answers. The first one to do this, first one to basically give me the answers correctly, will be deserving of the code. And I will say who that person is at the very end of, well, not very end, but I will tell you who it is during the live stream. So, as long as your name isn't complicated. But here's one other thing though, just to prove the fact that you are somebody who does own, not just the PS4, but also Kingdom Hearts 3. That is also the other requirement. You have to have had, you must have Kingdom Hearts 3 to have this code. If you don't have it, I will not give you the code. So the best way for you to do this is this. Since we live in a day where most people can have messengers on their phones or on their tablets, if you have PSN Messenger on phone or on your tablet and you have the copy of Kingdom Hearts 3, the best way for me I can tell you to do this is, once I have a game as an example, if I can get to it, yeah, there we go, this one will technically count. So, if I said to you to take a picture of a Kingdom Hearts game, and I said Kingdom Hearts 3 when you physically have the game, all you have to do is just take a picture of this. That's all it would be. If this was Kingdom Hearts 3 that I was holding in my hand, all I would ask you to do is just take a photo of you having the disc in hand. Or, if you are somebody who doesn't have the disc, to basically just take a picture of your television screen or your monitor, and just to show that you have at least got the game, this application on your console. So it's either a physical copy of the game or the one that you will have on your console, like date on its application setting. Once those requirements are fulfilled, I will then release the code. So picture of the game as a confirmation, you messaging, saying like, it's messaging me with a photograph and the answers. Once I see that criteria, because it's strange how it's 3s I'm dealing with, once those criteria are met, I will reply to you with the code. Not straight away, but until the release date. Because I won't know what the codes are. If the codes are the same, I technically will have to break the promise. If the codes are different, then you'll get the code. I just need to figure out what it is. Like all of us who have done this. Now, I'm going to assume that not many people have played Union Cross or Kingdom Hearts Key, or whatever it is that it's decided calling itself now. But the only reason why I'm giving away the code is because I think there are maybe just one or hundreds or thousands of people who have never played this before, and it will be interesting for them to get the code. Basically for nothing. So I've worked hard, I want to give something back. If the code doesn't work, then there's probably some very strange reason. So I won't give anything away that's fake. So the best way that I will do it will be this, is I will send you a message back basically showing that it is genuine. That way it can't be falsified. And obviously when you put the code in, if you want to prove to the fact that it has worked, you can re-message me again and just say, yes, I've got the code, thank you very much, and whatever. But that's all I'm doing. So I do hope it has been a good experience for you. I hope this has been a bit informational for you guys and girls out there. And hopefully I get to see you next time. So I have been me. I am now signing out. See you guys later.